Hi, my name is Trent Taylor, and I am a university studies major with a concentration in organizational leadership, health and wellness, and integrative studies. My definition of integrative studies is combining more than one places of talent, interest, or concentration to tackle a task that is much too large to go at through one concentration, one talent, one interest you have. So it's like a larger world problem that you need multiple areas in order to address the entire problem. A little bit of history about me. Um, I grew up in a small town, Artesia, New Mexico. This is very important because Artesia is a very close town, and community has been a big thing for me from the time I was born. I've been constantly surrounded with people that love me, and I feel so blessed. I grew up in a fantastic church family that loved on me well. Something that shaped me is I lost a lot of people very young in my life, very early in my life. Um, One of those people being my little brother, who's 3 years younger than me. I didn't lose him. I lost his best friend, which was like my little sister. We spent every day with them. She had an older brother who was my age, and I was his best friend. And then my brother was best friends with his little sister. They were the same age, and every day after school, we spent time with them. And I'm not kidding. We were probably with them 5 out of the 7 days of the week, and she truly was like my little sister. And I was 10 years old. She was 7 and diagnosed with a like a heart condition. Ended up having a heart transplant and uh, got the transplant, made it through, was doing super well, and then unexpectedly had a turn for the worst. And that was super formative. And then right after that, my 56-year-old grandma passed away. And that was probably the grandparent that I was closest to. And so losing both of those people that early on in my life, I was so close to them. They were a part of that community that I loved and that loved me so well. That was hard. And I've had things that have been hard because of that. I think I cope differently, but I also think coming out of that, I see a need for community because I know how much my heart broke when I lost them, and it kind of gave me a good perspective on life and how blessed I was and am currently am. Um, so I graduated Artesia and went to tech, and I um, was going to be a physical therapist. So I was headed the pre PT route. Decided that wasn't for me. That I didn't want to go to school for 7 years, and I wasn't even really sure if I wanted to be a physical therapist in the first place. So um, I decided to uh, go education because both my parents were educators, and that did not work for me. I student taught and disliked it a ton. I just could not connect with the kids in that restricted environment, and very weird for me because I love kids. I'm a coach. I coach uh, LBA, Lubbock Baseball Academy. Another thing about my history is I started LBA. Not started. I started coaching at LBA like 2 years ago, and that's been such a blessing in my life. So when I couldn't connect with kids in that public school setting, it was very hard for me. Um, and so I looked around and I saw university studies, and I'm someone who is described by my friends and family by not having like one great talent, but being pretty decent at most things. And so university studies was super appealing for me because I hated the idea of having to concentrate on one thing in college and then going out of college and doing that one thing for the rest of my life. And so when I saw university studies that gets 3 concentrations, I was like, oh, you don't have to tell me anymore. I will be there. Sign me up. And so that was super, super awesome, and a little bit of my history. And then another little bit about my history is I have started a Bible study about a year ago. And we started with about 4 or 5 people playing sand volleyball and having a little Bible study, and I would lead it. And now we're up to about 30, and we're in the process currently of becoming a student organization. So that's super exciting. Not very relevant to this conversation right now, but super exciting. And so yeah, that's a little bit about my history. So um, when Bates in her article, when she talked about how when Israel gave her this vision of like women's rights, I can super uh, relate to that in the sense that when I started this Bible study, it was because I was lacking community in my life post COVID in college, and I knew that people were too. And this Bible study has given me this vision of community and that people need this in their lives, and it's something that will continue to shape me for the rest of my life. And I will continue to want to teach people how to live in community with each other and how important that is. Um, my life trajectory, uh, what's happening now and what's happening in the future. So now, like I said, I'm currently in the process of making my student organization, right? We are called Bump Set Christ, kind of goofy, but we play volleyball, so that's what we chose. Um, and I also so I'm getting my math or my bachelor's in university studies with my 3 concentrations, and then I want to pursue a master's degree in organizational leadership. I feel like this will best set me on the path that I want to be on, and I'm hoping to um, use this in my post college life. In the workforce. I think this is something that I'm super interested in and passionate about. Leadership is something that has always interested me, and I'm just super excited about that. I'm also personally on the personal side of things instead of the educational. I'm about to get married this summer, and so that's super exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited and don't really know what to expect, but I'm pumped. Uh, so a little bit of connection for me, right? Some common threads through my life. I've always had people. People is my people are my common thread, and with people comes community, and community is something that in my education. Uh, I've always had community, but also my personal life, I've had community. So I'm able to see that thread and be able to say, okay, yes, that's important to me because it's in every area of my life, every area that I'm passionate about, community and people exist. I'm not an introvert. I am definitely an extrovert, and I wear it with pride. But so yeah, that a little bit about me, my common threads. um, so what I want to do in the future, some things that I want to use, uh, some discontinuities that I want to use in my life is I want to do 2 things at the moment. So I want first of all I want to get my master's in organizational leadership, and then I want to open up my own player development center. Not only player development, I want to open up my own player and character development center. I think that I think there's such a push nowadays for kids to be good at sports. And I think that sometimes we skip over the leadership part. And so that's kind of where it's kind of cool. Like my concentration, organizational leadership, not only could help me with the aspect of opening up that player and character development center, but also plays a role in how I can teach people what I've learned and what I think is important in life, in sports, and in whatever they want to do, because life is so much more than sports. And Another thing that I want to do, probably this is probably the biggest picture, and it's not going to be something that I can do right out of college. I'm going to need a lot of wisdom and a lot more than I have now, but I'm excited about it, and uh, I want to build community and teach it on a large scale. I want to I want to buy land and I want to build community around things that I feel are important. I think a lot of times that we think community is what we put closest to our heart, what we put in in the middle of our heart, right? And I think that that's true, but I want to take that to another level. And I want to say I'm literally going to build this community, and at the heart of the community, I want to have church. I want to have a church. I want to have a park. I want to have a senior center. I want to have something for all walks of life to be able to come to the middle of that community, the heart of that community, and exist together like it's supposed to be. Um, and that's what I want to do. And I think that people long for this. I think that people in I know that people in our design, we're meant to exist in community. And so what I want to do is I want to help people out. I want to build that community for them and say, "Hey, look, I have this for you. Come participate in this community. Come pour into this community and let this community pour into you." Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about my passions and about where I want to go with the rest of my life. So thank you. Bye.